Well, of course, why would the music work to start the show? Hey, everyone. Let's see if I can get this stupid thing to play because this garbage computer will not start it. Oh, what a great way to start it. Here we go, I think. There we go. Jeez, all those years of broadcasting excellence that I provided.
You
I
just
can't even
can't
start
hit
it,
your
Tibbs.
mark, Sibs. Just can't hit your mark.
This week it's not me having the issues. Knock on wood.
It is the AHL PSN hotline here. T. Sibs, Vihai, Moreniconda, and we will get to Shiz Nasty in a minute to talk about Rockford and something happened this week apparently. We'll get to that in a minute, but of course, I just want to welcome in Vihai and Moreniconda as usual. Gentlemen, how you doing today?
Doing good, Sibs. Looking forward to the playoffs here.
Doing
Yeah, we
really good.
finally got through. Although I was going to say it was a long 9 weeks, but I really don't think it was all that long. Quite honestly, I think it. I think it went by pretty quickly. That's kind of how I felt
It
in the end.
definitely cooked. It cooked right on by,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
couple of long nights, but the season went by quickly as a whole.
Well, time to talk about what happened this week, and with the top scorer of the league, Jay Claus, and Vihai is going to give you some information. We've all been talking to Jay this week, and talking to him about what happened, and he wanted to at least get something out there. He's been talking, obviously, on the site, but he wanted to get an official statement out there, and so Vihai's got an announcement straight from Jay Claus to make.
Yeah, I was talking to him, and I asked what he wanted to do. He made a statement, and the one thing I will say to his credit is he has not made any excuses. He said, "I know everyone is going to have their own opinions about me, and lots of people will have negative things to say, and I accept that. But I just wanted to say I made a dumb mistake, and now I'm dealing with the consequences. To clear the air for people wondering what exactly happened, I got greedy chasing the assists record and added 6 assists to my point total, which of course isn't allowed. It was a really dumb thing to do, and I have accepted the punishment for it. I could never make people like me, and if this gives people a reason to not like me, so be it. But I own up to it and want to say I've had a blast with my first league experience, getting to know and talk to so many good people. It was fun just talking day to day with the other GMs, and I have had nothing but good things to say about my experience. I let my team down, and now I can't help them on their playoff run, but I still believe the team I've built is the best in the AHL even without me. I appreciate the people that have reached out to me since they found out about it, and I'm sure I will be around and talking to people during the summer. Thanks to everyone who made this season so enjoyable, but really I just wanted to apologize to my team and to the league. I know people expected better from me, but I made a mistake, and now I'm dealing with the consequences. Thanks, Jay Claus." And
There
that
you
kind
have it.
of that pretty much spells it all out there, and that's one of the reasons we have Shiz here. Um, Shiz, you're put in quite a situation here where you got to run the President Trophy winning team heading into the playoffs, losing the league's leading scorer. How's that going to affect you as you move forward?
I mean, it's kind of tough to not lose a player like J Claus, but I've been in a management role before. In season one, I was AGM of Washington and or of Pittsburgh, and helped out Washington with management situations, and kind of been around this league long enough already that I kind of know the players and I know how it goes. I've earned these guys' trust. Basically, it's still J Claus' team. I mean, he assists us with everything. He's been my go-to for any questions I have regarding the boys or availability. It's still his team. I'm just kind of bringing it home. So I'm hoping me and the boys can get it done. We have enough depth without J Claus that it shouldn't be a problem. But definitely missing him on the ice as our first line center. It's going to be tough stepping into that role. But I think the guys are ready. We're a deep enough team, and we're hoping for a good playoff run.
So how are the rest of the guys handling the news, and what are you trying to do to get everybody refocused for the playoffs?
I think everybody was a little distracted from the start. It's kind of tough, you know, Claus has kind of been the leader from the start, and he was kind of the guy who brought a couple of these guys into the league. So, a lot of trust has gone into them. So, I don't know. It's kind of tough that way, but then again, they trust me. They know I have good judgment, and we've been getting help from Scoot in the NHL, with our management situations. So it hasn't been that tough of a problem. A lot of the boys stepping up, just stepping into management roles, helping me out. Just kind of, I know Kraz can't do a lot. He's kind of busy. He's got his hands full. So I've been kind of doing a lot of the day-to-day stuff. But at this point, it's kind of just keeping focused for playoffs. I don't really have to worry about a whole lot that Jay Claus did. Just dealing with availability, and that's basically it. So.
Now, Ches, how did you guys have to pull somebody up from training camp to replace him? Or, I mean, I'm sure Claus built a great team from top to bottom, so I'm sure he had some quality players sitting down in the TC just chomping at the bit to get out there and play. Is that basically what you guys have done?
Yeah, we filled our D spot that we were missing. Right now, we're still looking for our ninth forward to finish in. We have a couple guys that we've, that have played a couple games here or there throughout the season, and we've liked the way they played. But we're probably going to be using this nice week off to figure out who do we want to fill that ninth spot to kind of secure our third line for playoffs.
Yeah, that kind of comes in handy, right? Getting a little week off here so you can
Oh yeah, for sure.
really get a good look.
Not panicking for a player right now, that's for sure. So it's been nice.
No, well, you mentioned that Jay Claus built a strong roster, and he did. Without Jay Claus in the roster, you've got 4 of the top 11 scorers in the league still, and 2 of the top 3. I mean, you're a powerful team, and I still expect big things this playoffs. It may affect the chemistry a little bit, and it may not look like it's going to be as easy just because you have to mix things around a little bit. But would you say you're still fairly confident heading in? You've got a solid group of guys over there, and I mean, so far I don't really see that many weaknesses that, even though Claus was the leading scorer by a lot in the league, and the 6 assists didn't change his point total very much.
No.
I think you guys, you got a big hole to fill with him going, but I think you have a solid roster around it that, even though the hole's huge, it's really not that big when you consider your team.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for his line mates. Kind of Kraz has been playing with him a lot, and I know it's kind of tough because, they've played together for so long that it's you generate that chemistry, and that unfamiliarity is kind of tough with a new player coming in to fill that spot. But I'm confident in my boys. They're very versatile, and they're going to fill any hole that's necessary. And you know what? I'm confident. We got a strong team. I mean, don't get me wrong, playoffs are going to be fun, but I'm confident we're going to make a deep playoff run.
Yeah. Do you guys think this extra week that the league has given us? And by the way, if you haven't heard, the league has pushed the start to the playoffs back to July 10th. Because of the holiday on Monday, and on Friday. So instead of mixing schedules around and moving games to keep the playoff schedule the same, they have moved it back a week. Do you think this extra week is going to help you guys kind of mix lines around and see where you can gain more chemistry and find that ninth forward?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been in talk with a lot of the other GMs trying to get practice games, some scrimmages going throughout the week just to keep the guys, keep playing and stuff. But we've kind of decided we want to keep it internally. We're probably just going to be doing some 6v6 all Rockford games just to, I feel like that's almost our best challenge. And there's some strong teams, don't get me wrong, but just adapting to the way each other plays, and we just got to get familiar with each other again before playoffs start. So yeah, the week off, we were kind of still rolling, so we were hoping that it would have just rolled right on to playoffs. But, the week off is nice for a bunch of the guys that, need a little bit of time away from the console. I know a couple of them have been asking for a little time off, but yes, I know it's. But I mean, NHL 17 will be a refresher for everybody. So,
yeah, big time.
Yeah, no, it should be good.
I think you guys have more than enough talent to put a good run together here. You and I know each other from last season, and
Yep.
I have nothing but confidence in your play, man. I know you're a good leader. I know you're going to do a good job with those guys, and I'm excited to see what Rockford can get done here.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting playoffs. I mean, I don't know a whole lot of guys from the AHL. Kind of most of my experiences in the NHL, but just spending the last couple weeks here in the last month, just getting to talk to all these different GMs and players and stuff has made me grown to appreciate the AHL. That's for sure. Kind of when you're up in the NHL, you don't think about it as much, but being down here makes me appreciate the systems that kind of fuel those NHL organizations. And I can just by talking to Scoot, Chicago's owner, that just how much the system is built to gear players towards the NHL eventually is their end goal. So it's interesting to be involved in that process and be involved in Scoot planning for his next year's team and the team after that. And it's just, I don't know, it's been a interesting experience to try to learn from these guys who've been in these leagues for a lot more years than I have.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to get to play some center now too.
Yes, thank God. I mean, he's kind of been throwing me on wing and stuff, and we had basically 3 centers already built in place before I got there, so it's kind of tough. I mean, I'm versatile enough, but definitely center is where I'm most comfortable, and I know everybody likes that position where they're most comfortable to be their primary and to be where they play, but I came in halfway through the season. I just want to help out the boys any way I can, and if that means stepping into a center role with Claus gone, then more than happy to fill that. But yeah, we're definitely going to miss his presence on the ice, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not a guy. It's not like you've got a 28th place team who loses their third line winger here. It's the highest scorer in the league on the President Trophy winning team, and it is a big hole. But there's some strong teams in this league. On the Western Conference side, you got the Wolves, the Barracuda, the Gulls, a bunch of other teams that made the playoffs. You never know what's going to happen, and you're going to see how deep teams really are and how you mix and match your lines here. That might be one of the more interesting things for you now that you're in the AGM role and kind of filling in as GM, even though the title's AGM, trying to match up lines on games 1, 2, 3, and 4 there to see how you can mix and match and try and maybe even steal games because you think you have the better matchup.
For sure. I mean, that's the tough part about playoffs compared to the regular season is that pretty much in regular season, I mean, a lot of the teams were putting their top lines versus us just because they wanted to beat us, and I mean, there's no surprise for that. So, it's going to be interesting seeing how the other GMs manage their lines versus us and see who they play versus our top lines and see if they can take advantage of our depth. I mean, I just have confidence in the guys. We got a strong team. I would take our line per line with any other team, 1v1, 2v2, 3v3. I think we have a pretty deep enough squad that it shouldn't make a difference. So,
you mentioned your experience is mostly in the NHL, and so you're still getting to know you're still getting to know some of your own teammates, but obviously a lot of guys in this league that you're still getting to understand how good they are, what their skills are, what their weaknesses are. Is that something that is a negative for you trying to get these line matchups, or are your guys guys like Rhino and everyone else on the team, are they trying to work with you to give you information, let you know more about what you might want to do? Is that kind of what's going on right now?
We kind of have a group in Rockford, a smaller group of the total 17-man roster, which still involves J Claus, and we kind of rely on each other to make these decisions as kind of a small group, which is awesome, especially not having Claus be here. We have kind of a small group of management rather than try to push it all towards one person, because we've kind of all been thrown into this situation the way it is. So we're just kind of, bonding together and trying to make the best out of what we can of this situation. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know a lot of the AHL players, but the top end talent in the AHL, I'm still very aware of. I mean, I've seen them around. I've seen them ECU, even first season management, whatever role it was. I've seen both. I've seen some AHL games, and I'm pretty familiar. I wouldn't say probably as much as Claus was, but then again, I still got him at my side, and he's still the captain of this team essentially, and he's probably gonna push her to the end.
Now you mentioned a bonding thing going on with what's happened here. Is that something that is really clear that's happened with your team? Have you guys gotten even closer and rallied around this?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a bunch of these guys were already pretty good friends. They were part of the Netflix and Chill Club, and a lot of them didn't know me. Like even Claus, when Scoot traded for me to get to his AHL team. A lot of the guys didn't really know who I was. Claus said he looked at my stats. I was over 2.5 points per game in the NHL last year, and I led my team and stuff. And he didn't really expect much. He just he was just expecting me to fill a role, but I played a couple games with him, and he realized that Scoot kind of did him a favor picking me up on his team for depth. So
I messaged him immediately, and I was like, "How the hell did you get Ches? Like, how did you work that out, man? Like, what the heck's going on there?"
There was kind of a situation with the Stockton/Calgary management. I'm sure Moran and Vihai are both aware, maybe even Sibs, of the situation that went on in acquiring me. So no, it's been interesting, that's for sure. But yeah, these guys have kind of welcomed me into the group, kind of became part of the family, and I know it's tough. Like I wasn't expecting much coming into the AHL. I mean, just being around the NHL talent, I wasn't sure what to expect. But originally getting into Stockton, it was a little scary, being second last in the league, and I wasn't sure what I was going to have to deal with. But no, Scoot immediately traded for me, and pretty much showed me how strong of a team Rockford was, and how I'm only going to make them better. And it's been nothing but good. I can't say nothing bad about this team. It's they've welcomed me in as one of their own, and it's been a good time.
That's good to hear, man. That's good to hear.
And I think it's important, going back, you said you're going to run 6v6 games to warm up, and being able to get everybody together to play games against each other like that, especially with a team of the caliber of yours, where that the 6 playing the other 6, regardless of what side it is, it's going to be a great game and a great chance to play against a team that plays well. Even if you know how they play, when you have players this talented, it's really good, because even if you know what they're going to do, it's still tough to stop them, and it's a really good way to warm up for the playoffs, especially when you're one of the top teams in the league.
And that's the one thing why I kind of avoided friendly competition amongst other teams, was that we didn't really want a lot of, I guess, footage of us playing against them. I mean, Ryan knows them from Rochester. He knows all these guys very well, so we were kind of worried about that. But it's nice because we know how each other plays, and playing 6v6, even if we know how each other plays, we still challenge each other to be better, and we compete, and it's just great to see among our team.
Well, I can get you to try new things too.
Yeah, for sure. Put you in situations you're not comfortable with. Absolutely.
Yep. And that's how you get better.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, listen, man, it was great having you on here. I appreciate you coming on. In light of the circumstances, it's not an easy situation to get thrown into. It's a little easier to get thrown into a situation when your team's as strong as you are, and it sounds like off the ice you guys have a solid group of guys that are tight-knit, which can be huge going into the playoffs for sure, having a team that's reliable with each other and know how to handle personalities and egos and things like that. So I wish you guys have a couple of...
I know you're watching. Yeah, he's talking about you. He's talking about you.
But good luck in the playoffs. I still think you guys are going to go on a run. You're still one of the favorites to win the Cup. And I wish you nothing but the best, man. Thank you for coming on here.
Yeah,
perfect.
Pulling for you, buddy. Pulling for you.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on the show. Hopefully I can be back sometime on future shows or help out whenever I can. You guys are doing a great job. Glad to be a part of it.
Sounds good, buddy.
Absolutely, man.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. See you later, boys.
See ya.
Appreciate it, Ches.
And that was Shiz Nasty, the new AGM of Rockford, coming on here to talk about a difficult situation from his point of view. I would say, even though the team is strong, I still think that's a difficult situation to go through 9 weeks of playing, and then right before playoffs are about to start, you have to take over that team and get them ready to play.
Yeah, it's got to be a tough spot, man. I'm still scratching my head, man. Like, God, what? I don't know. It's just, what? Come on, man. And Claus, he just got caught up in the numbers game, and I can't fault him for it. You know what? He's a younger guy, and it is what it is. And he owned up to it. He owned up to it like a man, and that's all you can ask of him at this point. And he's definitely learned his lesson. So he'll just let his playing do the talking for him next time, and I'm sure he'll be getting that assists record at some point in time.
I'm sure he will.
If he
And
passes a little more, ask Krez. That's if he passes a little more.
I will say that Shiz got his mic working on the first attempt on the show, so he's already a step ahead of Claus in that sense.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that's going to be really interesting to see is how his former line mates do without him, and obviously they had a few games without him already, but in the playoffs, different ball game. People are a lot more pumped up to play on the other side, and this is very much like out in the wild, or fishing with a wounded lure. Everyone smells blood now. They lost their leading scorer, so here's our chance to attack these guys and beat the daylights out of them if we can. But I think whoever plays against them is gonna find out that they are not a one clause team. They are made up of a lot of good players, and it's going to be very interesting how other teams play against them and whether or not they they smell blood in the water and try to get really aggressive with their play, and how Rockford winds up answering that kind of game.
Yeah, and based on your comment there, it actually leads right into the poll question that we put up. It says, with J. Claus not in Rockford, does your opinion on a favorite change for the Calder Cup? The choices are yes, it's a big loss, and no, I think anything can happen anyway. Right now we have 7 votes for yes, it's a big loss, and 9 votes for no, I think anything can happen anyway. 56 to 43%. You have a team like them before this clause thing happened. They were a heavy favorite going into the playoffs. League leading scorers. For a while, they had the top 3 in the league. Without clause, they finished with 2 of the top 3, and the top scorer in the league now. But the Rochester Americans only finished 1 point behind them on the season, and they didn't have the league's leading scorer on there by 60 points. So I don't know how much it really affects how the playoffs were going to turn out. That's the thing about LG's format. J. Claus could only play 3 of the 9 games in a week, and you can only play up to 3 games in a 7-game series, but everybody has to play 1 game in the first 4. So he's maybe playing twice in the first 4 games, but it really relies on having 3 solid lines, so you never know what's going to happen in the playoffs.
Yeah, Rochester's got a full team over there too, man. I mean, and also it doesn't hurt that they have, in my opinion, one of the best goaltenders in the league in San Jose, and not to mention the fact they have a strong team as well. I think they're going to be a very, very difficult team to beat with San Jose backstopping them. That guy is unstoppable in net, and they've got a full team. So it's going to be interesting in the East too, as the Americans are a very, very strong team.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's we're gonna. I guess we'll take this time to announce too. Tuesday night we're gonna do during the playoffs we're gonna do a special Tuesday night show each week during the games and talk about what's going on, how the series are going, what the games are looking like. Playoffs are pushed back a week, and we're still gonna do one this Tuesday. We're gonna talk about some playoff predictions. Vibes Digital and Barris both have some playoff prediction stories up on the site. We're going to have them both on Tuesday night and discuss their articles a little bit, what went into them, what they're feeling heading into the playoffs, as both of them are GMs, and a GM and an AGM heading into the playoffs. See how their teams are going to be, and we'll discuss more in general about the playoffs. As this show, we're going to kind of finish up the regular season and kind of do the format we've been doing for most of the year here. But I just wanted to announce that we're going to be doing a second show each week on Tuesday nights for the next several weeks during the playoffs.
Playoff season, here we come.
And we don't have an official time yet because everybody works on Tuesdays, so we're looking at tentative the same time we would normally do Saturday, but it could be later just because we don't want to rush on the air. But we'll let you know as soon as we have a time.
We definitely like to do it, as games are going on, like you had mentioned. I think that'd be very beneficial for us to be able to pop into games that are streamed to the site. And be able to pop in and out of games and mention what's going on in certain live games as they're going on, and just kind of keep everybody up to date with how the playoffs are running. I think it's going to be super good.
Yeah, and we'll have to talk about line matchups as the playoffs are a little different. You have to have the away team submit your lineup an hour before the home team, so the home team has a chance to pick which guys they're going to put to match that line, and then by Tuesday we'll be a couple games into the series already, so we can see how it's already playing out and what the line matchups are going to be looking like. We can pop into games, see how they're doing, talk about them live on air, discuss goals that happen, big saves, bunch of things like that. I think it's going to be super fun.
I guess it's probably time since we have a half hour down already, it's probably time to head on over to the power rankings, and unless you have something else you want to talk about at this point.
No, let's get out there and give people their dues for having a great week 9 in the season, and really, we had some guys that really put together one hell of a final week of the season, and let's get to it.
Well, we're going to start off with goaltenders as we normally do, and the power rankings this week not off really by much, to be quite honest. Pearson 91 went 2-0, had a decent little week, but 2, 3, and 4 I really want to talk about because these guys are either a couple of up-and-comers who have shown in recent weeks that they are to be taken seriously, and of course a stalwart in Mooner, and we'll get to him in a minute. But I want to start out with Jones and what he's been able to do so far. He has been getting a good amount of time with Hartford since week 5, and this past week going 6-1. 186 goals against average, a shutout in that one. He had a 5-3 loss to the Falcons starting the week, but after that, 8 goals given up over 6 games. That's 1.3 goals against. He's been fabulous for them when he's been in there. 12-2, 1.9 goals against since getting time with Hartford, as I mentioned, starting in week 5. He had a 17-save victory against Providence this week. He is one of those burgeoning goaltenders in the AHL. He's just hitting his stride now, I believe. And on this Hartford team that is on a 9-game winning streak, they've won 16 out of their last 19. They've only lost 8 games since week 5. Hartford is squarely running fast and on track right now, heading to the playoffs. And they now have another goaltender who is also red hot in Jones, who will no doubt be a problem for everyone else. another guy I wanted to talk about who also has been getting a lot more playing time for Rockford, actually, is Rask. He is 4-0 this past week, 2.26 goals against. 5-0. I'm sorry, in the 5-0 shutout of the Wolves, he had a 9-save effort. 20-1 since week 5, with goals against a little over 2. So Rask and J-Boy need to be at the top of their game now and help out the loss with Jay Claus. But Rask certainly is showing that he is, he is a serious goaltender who is going to hopefully help uplift his team. As we talked to Shiz Nasty earlier, everyone's rallying around the loss of Jay Claus, and it's Rask's job now to just be a solid backstop for this team. And if he can do that, they're going to go far without question. Two more guys I want to talk about. Mooner, 2014, 5-1 this past week, 2.38 goals against. He made 93 saves, 108 shots in 6 games. That's 18 shots on average a game. He had 3 games where he had 21 shots on goal. So he's still getting a ton of work back there. Had a 7-2 loss to the Gulls on Monday. Gulls time of attack on that one, 12-14 versus 241 for the Rampage, who also racked up 22 penalty minutes. So, Mooner couldn't take a breath in this game. And, these games are the ones that, I don't care who you are in net, you're going to have a problem with. And that might be a little bit of a blueprint to try and get these guys to commit penalties and put them on the defensive. I guess that's a good plan for anybody, but it does seem to be the way that the Gulls were able to, beat up on the Rampage this week. But Mooner, week in and week out, I know what we've said about San Jose and some of these other guys. Mooner he's in that discussion top 5 without question every time. And speaking of San Jose, he's the last guy I want to talk about. And as Mike mentioned, he's just been ridiculous. The Americans on a 9-game win streak. San Jose's 22-3-2 since week 5, 4-0-1 against the Devils this season, who are their first-round opponent. He went 5-0 this week, under 2 goals against. He's just been getting better and better all season long. And what I've noticed that I didn't necessarily see happen a lot early on with him, but I'm seeing it now, is his quickness in net. That's been the big improvement here as far as I'm concerned. He's always in good position, but in the most recent games that I've been watching, he's been showing great anticipation in the play, and he gets himself right where he needs to be to make the save, and he is going to make Rochester an incredibly tough team to beat. He has been one of those guys who has been noticeable that he has improved on a couple of aspects, including what I just mentioned of his game. And again, you talk about a guy who's coming into the playoffs red hot. San Jose is the guy in goal, and the Americans, I always had high regard for them this year, but I never really necessarily thought they had a great shot to win it. But I tell you what, they are in stride. Everybody's in stride. Their goaltender's in stride, and there would be no surprise if they can go back and win this again this season.
San Jose is just a fantastic goalie. Like I said, I have nothing but props for him. We played against him on Friday night puck this week, and the way he reads the plays, he reads plays very well, and his positioning is amazing. And he gets from post to post in the blink of an eye, and it's just his anticipation of plays is fantastic, and it was really a pleasure to watch him work on Friday night.
Yeah. And a couple weeks ago, we played against Rochester, and San Jose was in net, and we beat them 1-0. And we played a defensive game. We literally spent most of the game in our end defending. We didn't give up a ton of shots, but the time on attack was like 10 minutes to 3 minutes. And San Jose, and we had a couple of disconnections happen. Restarted the game, and we came in, and there were several times that we had chances on San Jose where we could have scored. We ended up scoring kind of middle of the third period, and there were chances that we had on breakaways that we just got some lucky pokes at the blue line and went down. And I can tell you right now, this guy's almost impossible to score on. We snuck one past there. It wasn't an outstanding, spectacular goal, which against goalies like him and Mooner, who I'm about to mention something real quick because he feels like he never gets mentioned on the show. Sometimes you need to get some of those crazy bounces and just hope that your defense is good enough not to let some in when you're playing against some of these top teams. And San Jose is one of those goalies where it's tough to get a good goal against them. Same with Mooner. We played him on the last game of the season, and he had a 14-save shutout against us. We couldn't
That's a
score.
rough into the season, isn't it?
Another
Yes.
1-0 game. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just knock down, drag out, and we just couldn't get one past him. And
We could-
to his credit,
And there was a play off of a face-off where I literally drove. I was a power forward that game, and I drove through Mooner. And while I was hitting him, he still reached out and made the save, and the puck didn't go in. We didn't get a waved off goal, nothing. He stopped everything, even when I was smashing him into the net. He's outstanding too. You can definitely see why he's him and San Jose are two of the top goalies in this league. And it's in Sibs. I know for you, looking at Mooner, he was 5-1 this week, and he faced 93. It says 93 saves on here. I don't know how many shots he faced,
108 shots.
but 93 saves in a single week is just incredible. That's a lot of shots to face. You don't see that many in LG on a week-to-week basis for these goalies, and for him to be 5-1, having a 2.38 goals against average, so he had the couple games where he let in some goals, but still having an 86.1 save percentage while having that goals against, it means he was facing a lot of shots and making a lot of saves.
And that's, to me, it's not so much how much work is Mooner getting. It's the fact that opponents are getting in these games this past week, they're getting on average 18 shots a game. That's typically high in the games we're playing. So the Rampage's biggest issue right now is they need to play where they're stopping a lot of this this access right to the net and give Mooner more of a chance to get a regular workload. I'm not I haven't really seen too many of the games recently, but what I have seen, that is the case. It's just getting, teams are just taking a shot on him and hoping to sneak one through. But, maybe that's the name of the game for every really good goaltender. Just try and get as much as you can on the net, and I guess a lot of teams are doing that now.
Yeah, well,
you got to shoot against goalies like that. You have to.
I'm kind of guilty of a bad shot on Mooner to start our game with him. I just wanted to make sure I got a shot on net against him. Just because the way we cycle, a lot of times shots would come from the middle of the ice, and I'm usually feeding the pass to the shot, so I don't get a lot of shots. And I had room to skate in and try and put a move on the defenseman, and I just ripped one on net real quick to Mooner just to make sure I got one on, and I probably wasted an opportunity. But against goalies like that, you literally, sometimes you just got to try and catch them sleeping, which most of the time they're not, but you never know. There's weird ways that you might have to score against some of these top guys. So moving, unless you have anything else to say on goalies, we'll go ahead and move on to defense. You guys good on goalies?
Yeah, no, we're good. I'm good. Skill Python was just saying that, obviously he was the GM of the Friday Night Puck team that we played last night, and had San Jose on his team, and he was just saying he was a good part of that team, that they put together a solid decor for that Friday Night Puck team. Unfortunately, they wound up having to forfeit a game, which is sad. But Python had some good things to say about him.
That's no fun. So on defense this week, there's a couple of impressive players on here that or a couple of players who had some impressive weeks. Some new names, some familiar names. Starting at the top, I guess, the league's first star this week was Stivvy66, who I've talked about pretty much all year, and general consensus around the league, especially from what I've heard from people this week, is that him and Mixter V277 defensive pairing, is an elite defensive pairing in the AHL, possibly the best. He had 8 points this week, 4 goals, was a +3, 2.7 points a game. He was 3-0. And Mixter V277, he had 4 points, 4 assists, was a +4. Solid defensive pairing heading into the playoffs, and he's back up here on the power rankings this week. Same with Jabot 27 from the Condors, and he had 8 points this week as well and was 3-0. Was a +6. He was the league's second star. The league's third star was ZD Ball for the Americans. He was 4-0 this week, which is it's always great when you get that extra game in week 9 and you can pull out the win in all 4 of them. He did just that, having 7 points, and was a +13 on that top Eastern Conference Rochester Americans, along with Sean the Boss, who finished right behind him, was 3-0 with 7 points. He had 2 goals, was a +1, 2.3 points a game. Mades for the Chicago Wolves is up there at 3-0 this week. He had 8 points as well. He was a +14. He had 1 goal. Ryan for the Americans rounds out the 3 of the top 6 of the league's power rankings for defense this week from the Americans. He was 4-0 as well at a +13. He was partnered with ZD Ball in a few of those games, it looks like, and they went 4-0 on the week. He had 4 points. And played both right and left D this week, which we've talked about before, how important that can be, that you have a defenseman that can play both sides of the ice. I fear no one for the Chicago Wolves was 3-0. He had 6 points and a goal and was a +14 along with Mades. They were paired up 3 times this week. 6 for the Crunch. Looks like it was for the Crunch. Played 2 games. 2 games this week, had 4 points, was a +6, and one of the more impressive weeks I saw on here was there are 5. Let me count them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Wolfpack defensemen on the league's power rankings this week. They are hitting their stride heading into the playoffs here. Greeno 1822 was 3-0, 4 points, a goal, +10. General Patton, I'll get back to him in just a second. Weed Farmer was 3-0, had 3 points, was a +11. Vikes was 4-0, had 3 assists, and was a +6. Played both right and left D this week. And Blade Runner GT was on there as well. He was 3-1. He had 7 points, 7 assists, +12. And then getting back to General Patton 44, he was up there. I think he was 3rd on the power rankings last week by the league. I can't remember. He was up there. He might have been 2nd. But he had 9 points this week for the Wolfpack. 8 of those were goals. For a defenseman to have 8 goals in a week, I can tell you right now, when we were sitting there in week 6 or week 7 reading our power rankings and things like that, and I got to league's leaders, the league leader for defensemen and goals for the entire season had 10. And General Patton put up 8 goals this week and was a +8. He was 3-1 on the week. He did have 1 loss. But that's an impressive week for a defender to have 8 goals. I'm not sure if I even scored 8 goals in a week this week. But that's an impressive week for him. And the Wolfpack, solid decor, solid goaltending heading into the playoffs. And if they can get scoring like that from their defense in the playoffs, they might be unstoppable. That's an incredible job. And just a couple other guys on here. Vanishing Point 92 is back on here with a 4-0 week. He was +12 with 2 assists. Full throttle 911 from the Barracuda is on here as well. He was 3-0. He had 4 points, a goal, and was a +2. And then I'm just going to say this one because I love the name. Down there in the league's power rankings at number 20 was Lunchbox Hero. He had two wins this week, had 3 points, 1 goal, was a +1 at a point and a half a game. Some great defense this week. Some great points coming out of the defenders this week. It's always good to see defenders getting their names up there on the score sheet for sure.
And there you have it. I guess without further ado, everybody good on the D-men?
Oh yeah.
All right, we will move right to the forwards. This week, of course, we had some new faces up towards the top and a couple of familiar faces. True Legend had himself one hell of a week for the Sound Tigers, and they it's tough to see teams, have just fall short. True Legend had himself a hell of a season. He only played 20 games this season, and in his final week he finished strong. I had a 9-point game against Wilkes-Barre Scranton, followed that up with a 3-point game and a victory over the Phantoms, and then followed that up with a victory over the Providence Bruins and a 3-point game there. Actually finished the season 4-0 and with 4 division victories, and still just couldn't quite get over the hump there. So it's just that's a bummer, man. That was very, very, very tight out there in the Eastern Atlantic. But True Legend was up there, I believe, last week as well. So that's a great job. Second on the list is it's Johansson, 92. I think LG kind of nailed it basically right on the head this week. It's Johansson has just been on fire. Of course, he is playing for that Rochester Americans squad. They are super talented.
They're on fire.
Yeah, they're just killing it. And he's playing all over the place. He's playing center. He's playing left wing. He's playing right wing. He's doing a hell of a job for them out there in Rochester. Had a
Huge
6-point
pickup.
game. Yeah, a 6-point game against the Gulls of all teams. I mean, that's not easy to do. He had a hat trick and 3 assists, was a +6, registered 13 shots on goal just by himself. And was able to pick up a 6-point night against the Ice Caps with another 4-goal game. Picked up a couple assists in that game, and then was part of a 5-1 victory over the Devils. 3 assists or 3 goals again in that game. Sorry. So that's 3 games in a row where he registered a hat trick and more. That's just a hell of a job. And he was also 4-0 on the week, along with True Legend. They won all 4 of the games that they played in this week. And up at the top, you got Carlson MVP, who put together just one hell of a week for the Condors. I mean, listen to this. 4-0.
That might be most points in a week this season.
He was 4-0. It was part of an 8-4 victory over the San Jose Barracuda. Registered a double hat trick in that game with 6 goals, 1 assist, 18 shots on net by himself. That's an amazing job right there. That just tells you that they're working that puck like crazy. And that was part of a 7-3 victory over Ontario, in which he picked up 5 goals, registered another 9 shots on goal there. And then it was part of a 10-6 victory over Stockton. Registered a double hat trick in that game and chipped in with 3 assists for a 9-point game. And then, was part of a 6-7 victory over Providence, where he picked up a hat trick +1 with 4 goals and 2 assists in that game as well, registering 12 shots on goal. I mean, that's one hell of a week. He deserved to be up there at the top. This guy's averaging 4 points a game, a little over 4 points a game, 4.5. I mean, he's just been a rock solid for the Condors out there, and he's only played in 20 games this season. So, it's good to see him up there. I mean, the Condors had one hell of a run down the stretch there, and Carlson was a big part of that. And the guy's just putting up points like crazy at 4 points per game, at a 4-point per game clip, out there for the Condors. And
like they're going out of style this week.
Seriously. And then you got, there's a lot of new faces up there at the top. Boomer's up there. He's usually up there though for the Wolfpack. Tommy League Gamer was up there this week. Went 3-0 for the Wolfpack. And he had 11 points on the week, 8 goals, was a +7. MG 2452 for the Sound Tigers had 18 points this week with 8 goals, was 4-0 as well. A lot of these guys up here, a lot of these guys 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, like 4-0. So there's another one, 4-0, 4-0, lots of bean pots for the Phantoms. Had 18 points, 9 goals, 9 assists, +10, 4.5 points per game. That's a hell of a job.
Helped them get in the playoffs.
Absolutely did. And they put together a nice final week, and they went and took that final spot in the Eastern Atlantic, and I got my hats off to them. Paulo did a great job out there, and they made it, and they were the ones who put together a good final week and got that final spot in the Eastern Atlantic. So hats off to you, boys. Great job out there. And that's basically about all I got for the forwards.
Support Tommy Lee Gamer. His only loss this week was in our Friday Night Puck game.
Yep.
Oh, I feel bad for him now.
Hey, it is what it is. When you're playing against somebody with a goalie, when you're playing against a goalie like San Jose, it is what it is.
Well, speaking of a goalie named San Jose, it's tough to pick my favorite number one first star goalie because I so want to give it to Mooner, but San Jose is just so hot. He is just so on target right now going into the playoffs. I want to give him recognition because of how his play has improved over the season, and so final first star of the week for the regular season for goaltender for me goes to San Jose 01.
Wonderful. For me, I'm going to go a little bit different. He's not even sitting up at the top of the league's power rankings on defense. He is in there. We talked about him just a minute ago, but General Patton for the Wolfpack, having the 8 goals this week. Let me tell you where he picked up 6 of those goals in a 9-1 victory against the Providence Bruins, who were fighting for their playoff lives this week. He had 6 goals on 8 shots, shooting at 75%, which is unbelievable, especially coming from the back end. He scored in 3 straight games. He scored against the Springfield Falcons in a 5-3 loss. He had the 6 goals in a 9-1 victory over Providence. He scored 1 goal in a 6-0 win against the Bears, and ended the week with an assist. This is the kind of production that you're going to see as we're heading into the playoffs, where it's not necessarily the season leaders in points that are going to make the impact on a series, and a lot of times it's guys who play their one game, maybe it's game 2 of a series, maybe it's game 3, and it's a matchup that the home team put out there saying we need to win this game, so we're going to put out a guy, and he comes up big against a team's first line and scores 4 goals in a game or something like that. And that's kind of how General Patton did it this weekend, scoring 6 goals in a game against a team that was fighting for the playoffs. So that's who my first star of the week goes to.
My first star of the week, without question, is going to Carlson. MVP out there with Bridgeport. They were in one hell of a battle for that 4th position out in the Western Conference, battling it out with Texas. They were able to get it done and get into that 4th and final spot out of their division. what can you say? The guy just had a hell of a week. He was putting up points like nobody's business. 27 points within the week, 21 goals, 6.8 points per game. I cannot go with anybody else other than Carlson MVP. The guy ripped it up this week. He was scoring goals like they're out of style, and my MVP goes to Carlson MVP from the Bridgeport Condors and helping them get into the playoffs this week.
Number 4.
All right. Yeah. So I guess now we, for the last time in the regular season here, VEI's top 10 in the league. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. So
these would be the points. You might as well go ahead and label off who the winner was. Really,
yeah.
Regular season.
So the regular season points champion, obviously different name than what we thought it was going to be, but it ends up being. I don't know, should I say Shoutbox hero? Rhino 1354 at 104 points this season. Not too shabby, man. That's a great season. He finished number 1, closely followed by Matt the Cool Cat, who made a big run at the end of the season to get up to 103. Missed out by 1 point on the scoring title there. Kraz 18 finished with 100 points. It's Johansson 92 finished with 97 for the Americans. Fifth was Bob Swagger at 93 points. JLM 1410 finished with 92. He, of course, is the AGM of the Chicago Wolves. Big Beefy 13 finished 7th with 91 points, along with good friend of ours, Fairman 7, 91 points as well in 8th place there. Convicted 238 for the Pirates. He had 89 points in 9th place. And in rounding out the top 10, we had Fat Gilly for the Ice Hogs. He had 87 points. The league leaders in goals, also a new name up here, ended up being Mike's first star this week, Carlson MVP. He had 67 goals, winning the goal title by 12 goals this season over Matt the Cool Cat, who finished in 2nd with 55. C. Fairman 7 finished in 3rd place with 52 goals. It's Johansson finished in 4th with 48, along with RV Clutch for the Stars at 48 goals. And to round out the top 10, we have 5 guys tied at 46 goals. It'd be Kraz 18 for the Ice Hogs, also Fat Gilly. Timmy Z7 for the Rampage, also at 46. Hockey Town for the Lake Erie Monsters had 46, and so did Tommy LeagueGamer QC for the Wolfpack. So that's your top 10 in goals. Again, Carlson MVP wins your scoring title. For the top 10 league leaders in assists, in 2nd we have Rhino at 1354. Or 1354 at 60 assists. I skipped the winner because he wanted to hear his name really bad, so I'm going to make him sweat it out for a couple guys first. Kraz finished in 2nd with 54 assists. Big Beefy finished in 4th with 53. And JLM 1410 of the Chicago Wolves, he finished 1st with 61 assists. He got the assist record that was so coveted by many. And Bob Swagger finished in 5th with 52. Toffoli for the Ice Caps finished with 52 as well in 6th. Killer Santo finished in 7th with 50 assists. And then we had a 3-way tie, 8th, 9th, and 10th with It's Johansson 92. Abaziaba 24 for the Lake Erie Monsters, and Hazy Hype for the Wolfpack. All 3 of them had 49 assists this season. Great job, gentlemen. It was a great season for you guys in stats. You got a lot of points up here. Moving over to the defensive side, your league leader in points for defensemen ended up being Stivvy 66. He was the league's number 1 star in defense this week. He ended up with 54 points there on the season. QC Chief 27 for the Americans had 46 in 2nd place. Fu Mancheesy of the Chicago Wolves had 42 points in third. Weed Farmer for the Wolfpack was in fourth with 41 points. Fifth, sixth, and seventh were in a three-way tie with 40 points. Jabot 27, Mixter V2 77, and Sean the Boss of the Condors, Gulls, and Americans respectively. 40 points there for those three. In eighth place, we had ZD Ball with 39 points. In ninth, we had Ultimate Aquaman at 38. And in 10th, rounding out the top 10, was the Killer 9879 with 35 points. Nicely done. The league leader in goals coming into the final week was Stivvy 66. But he ended up in second place in goals, and beating him out for the defensive scoring title for the season was General Patton 44 with a huge 8-goal week this week. Finished with 16 goals. He doubled his season goal total in 1 week, finishing with 16 there. Stivvy obviously had 15. In second, Jabot 27 had 12 in third. Ultimate Aquaman had 11 in fourth, along with J Nasty 19 for the Ice Hogs, who also had 11. Sixth and seventh, we have a tie with Fu Man Cheesy of the Chicago Wolves and Joseph Valino Me from the Syracuse Crunch at 9. In eighth, we have Barris, AGM of the Binghamton Senators, with 8 goals, along with Hit by the Best 95, had 8 as well in ninth. And then I'll go ahead and read the four-way tie at 10th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th, all with 7 goals. The Killer 98-79, Larkin 71. Killer obviously plays for the Lake Erie Monsters, and Larkin plays for the Albany Devils. Sond 13 plays for the Ice Hogs. He had 7 goals, and Kraken 1974 had 7 as well. And I believe he plays for the Reign. And your defensive assist leaders for the season, QC Chief 27 had 42. He was in first. Stivvy 66 had 39. In second, along with Weed Farmer, who also had 39. ZD Ball has 37 in fourth. Sean the Boss has 36 in fifth. 36 in fifth. Mixter V2 77 has 35 assists in sixth place. In seventh place was Fu Man Cheesy. He had 33 assists. And then making a big push late in the season, Stealth Wolf for the Bridgeport Sound Tigers finished up with 31 assists on the season in 8th place. 9th place was Berger for the Lake Erie Monsters. He also had 31. And three-way tie for 10th was Jabot 27 of the Condors at 28. The Killer 98-79 at 28 for the Lake Erie Monsters. And for the Crunch, Trev Sport had 28 as well. And those are your season-ending top 10 forwards, defensemen, points, goals, and assist leaders. Congratulations to all of you on incredible production this season. That's really impressive numbers there.
That's a great job by those guys, and my hat's off to you for scoring all those points. Rhino, great job, buddy. That's a good job.
Yep, and JLM, hold on one second here.
Fairman, I just want to throw a shout out to Fairman. He's a good friend, and I'm glad to see him finally, get his solid chance to be on a roster, and thanks to JLM and Vibes over there in Chicago, and it paid off nice for them, and it's good to see Fairman putting up that many points this season as well.
I told Vibes and JLM to listen up and watch the show. I had a little surprise for him. The first ever AHL game that I went to in my life was the Indianapolis Ice back when they were a franchise against the Chicago Wolves. I got a puck at that game. This is my puck. I wanted to show you, JL. Good job getting the assist record. Fairman, way to finish third in goals. Impressive seasons by all of you guys that were in the top 10 of the league. I mean, even being in 10th place on those points or goals or assists is an incredible job. Moving on to, I want to finish up where everybody ended up in the playoff race, I guess, right? Standings?
Yeah, we'll have more of an in-depth look at the playoffs in our special coming up Tuesday as well, where we're going to really dive into the matchups and really get our feet wet with the matchups and talk to a couple of GMs as well.
Let's finish up with the standings.
Well, go for it.
Well, I was just going to say Hartford in the Eastern Atlantic ended the season on a 9-game win streak. Um, you know, everybody's looking in the AHL for that 9-win week, and unfortunately they lost their first game of the week, so they didn't win every game this week, but they did win the last 9 in a row to finish with 126 points, first in the Eastern Atlantic. Big Beefy runs a tight ship over there, great team. Um, sometimes he feels like he doesn't get enough credit for it, and I can understand why, because there are some powerhouses in this league, of which he is one of them. Beefy, you're getting all the love today, man. You finished out with a great season. Great way to end the season, and looking forward to you in the playoffs. Portland finished with 101 points in second place. Wilkes-Barre Scranton finished in third with 85 points. Lehigh Valley Phantoms had 82 points, tied with Bridgeport, but they had the tiebreaker to get into the playoffs. So Lehigh Valley Phantoms got fourth place in the Eastern Atlantic with 82 points, Bridgeport 82 in fifth. The Hershey Bears had 77 points in sixth place. Providence ended up with 75 points, dropping down to seventh place there at the end of the year in the division, and the Springfield Falcons finished the season out with 56.
Over in the Eastern North, you got the Rochester Americans, who just basically ripped through all the competition this season. They finished the season out with a whopping 63-13-6 record, coming in with 132 points. That's the most in the Eastern Conference. They did a great job. They were solid all season, and they look to be hitting their stride coming into the playoffs. Second place in that division, you got the Syracuse Crunch, finished the season at 49-22-11 with 109 points. That's the second highest point total in the Eastern Conference. That's a great job by the Syracuse Crunch over there and JD Forthy and the boys. Coming in at third in the Eastern North is Live by Sin and Barris's team, the Binghamton Senators. They finished the season 46-28-8, finished with 100 points. They're sitting in the third place spot in the Eastern North. Fourth place is the Albany Devils. They finished the season 43-31-8 for 94 points. So they were able to get into the playoffs out of the Eastern North as well. And they were followed up by the St. John's Ice Caps, who had 83 points on the season, the Utica Comets, who finished with 67 points, and the Toronto Marlies, who finished with 51 points on the season.
Interesting. You mentioned Rochester with 132 points, and really only 1 point behind Rockford in the Western Central, who finished with 133. Of course, in first place, 66 wins on the season. The Wolves in second, 115 points with a 52-24 record. And then the Lake Erie Monsters at 109. And Lake Erie, again, I think flew under the radar because of the first two teams in that division. They had 109 points, 50-23 with 9 overtime losses. So they are a good team. We've talked about them all year, but they finished a lot higher than I think anyone would have ever thought, and they are a playoff-bound team. Grand Rapids at 39-41 with an 80-point total. And then we have Manitoba, Iowa Wild at 72-71 points, the Milwaukee Admirals at 67, and then the Charlotte Checkers falling on hard times early with a 21-55 record, 48 points on the season. And so of these teams, obviously Rockford, Chicago, Lake Erie make it in, and Grand Rapids, with a losing record, makes it into the playoffs this season from the Western Central.
And there's been a lot of debate about that, and it is what it is this season. I mean, we're following and we're trying to go in lockstep with real life. So that's the way that the AHL moved to this season. So that's the way the LG moved to this season, and there's a lot of mixed opinions about it, and it is what it is. But like we've all talked about, it does promote interdivisional play, and hey, got to take care of business in your home division, and that's exactly the proof in the pudding right there with Grand Rapids squeaking into the
Yeah.
playoffs.
And for about 5 minutes there yesterday, Rochester had won the President's Trophy. Rockford got a game turned over to a loss for about 5 minutes by the league because the league forgot that a guy could play 4 games this week and flagged them for having a guy play improper amount of games. It was a system thing. It wasn't a person thing. And they contacted the league, got it switched back. They got their win, so Rockford did win the President's Trophy. Now, also on your comment there, Mike, the Griffins did what they had to do to make the playoffs based on the format that was laid out before Game 1 of the 82-game schedule. You can't blame them for getting in based on how the rules were set up, and even though their matchup's going to be against I believe it's against the Hogs, crazier things have happened in the playoffs. We were talking to Shiz earlier, talking about matchups, things like that. People aren't going to expect the Griffins to go in and beat the Ice Hogs, but that is why we play the games. So we'll see what happens for sure. Western Pacific, the second place team in the Western Conference, finished first in this division. San Antonio Rampage with Mooner at the helm, 118 points. They were 22-5-8 in 1-goal games. So there were only 5 games that they played that were a 1-goal game that were a loss. The San Diego Gulls finished in second with 104 points. They had an extremely strong season, and they've got 3 solid lines and an extremely solid defensive core. San Jose Barracuda finished with 97 points. They were in third place in this division, also in a playoff spot. And then the tight race here to get into the playoffs in this division, the Texas Stars end up falling out to the hot Bakersfield Condors, who, I don't know, went on a rampage to end the season and picked up a lot of points and snuck their way in there in the 4th position with 94 points. Texas finishing up in 5th with 91. In 6th in the division was the Stockton Heat with 70 points. And another team that had a difficult season here, the Ontario Reign, rounding out the Western Pacific with 50 points. They finished with 23-55-4 record, just a little bit above the Checkers there in the Western Conference. But congratulations to all 16 teams that made the playoffs. We will get to you guys on our Tuesday night show in depth. It's going to be fun to watch this. I can't wait to see it play out. There's always something crazy that happens in the playoffs. We'll see what it is this year for sure, but congratulations to all those teams that made it. It is a long road. Even though it's a short 9 weeks, it is a long road to 82 games to get to this point in the season for sure.
Well, you mentioned Bakersfield, 19-7 to finish out the season, and again, when you can do something like that, you deserve to be in the playoffs. They went on a run. They took it seriously, and they just brought it together at the end and got themselves in there from week 7. From after a couple of losses in week 7, they hunkered down and just went on a tear, and that got them in the playoffs. And congratulate them for pushing it that hard. And it's too bad too for the Stars. They obviously have a solid team. The Apex, backstopped them well. They lost goaltenders early in the season. They lost a few players early in the season to the NHL, and so they were good enough and talented enough to regroup and come back and say, okay, we're still in this thing, and they were down to the end. So I mean, the push that they made and the attempt that they tried to get in there certainly valid, but they just fell a little bit short, and unfortunately because of the rules this year. It didn't work in their favor, but as Mike suggested, this is what it's an online league. Let's not take this too seriously. We try things, we see how they work. If they don't work, maybe we go back to something else next year. Maybe we don't, but that's up to the league. It's not the end of the world if we played this way. So, I don't know. I think maybe too much, including myself, too many people talking about this for too long It's the format. Go with it. That's what everyone's saying in the chat box. That's what they're saying on the YouTube chat box. It is what it is. Just go with it.
Yep.
The league tries to follow the main, the real life league. So that's what the real life league decided. So that's where we go as a league on top of it.
Yep. And to go back to the Condors, they starting with their last 2 games in Week 4. They had a 20-game stretch there through the end of Week 6 where they lost 16 of 20 games. And that dropped them way down the standings, and then they finished the season 19-7, like you said, Sibs. They did start out fairly well, so they got themselves some wins early, but having a stretch in the middle of the season, losing 16 of 20, winning only 4 games in about a 2.5-week span is tough, but they held it together, made a run, and got themselves into a playoff spot. Really great job by them. That's for sure. And, yeah, playoff format, maybe we'll get to that during the week. I'm tired of talking about it because we knew what it was before the season started, and whether you like it or not, it is how it is.
I just want to take a second here as we're wrapping the show up, and thank everybody on the Hershey Bears. I know this is supposed to be a non-biased show, and we've tried to do that as much as possible this year. But I just want to take this time and go through and thank you guys personally. We had a rough start to the season. We were kind of put in a bad spot, and that's not making any excuses. I want to thank each and every one of you for never giving up and really, really giving us your all coming down the stretch. We made a hell of a run. We were one of the better teams in the league for the second half of the season, but unfortunately we were one of the worst teams in the league for the first half. So, we weren't able to finish off our run that we were trying to get accomplished. Our goal was to squeak into that last spot in the playoffs, and we just fell short by having a rough end of the week. But I just want to go through and thank Brink. I want to thank Soze. I want to thank Dan Man, Gnarly, Hawks, Backdoor, Jeff Tremblay, who was a great addition for us halfway through the season here and was one of the bigger reasons that we made that push. Joyrides, thank you, my man. Cap, MGM, who was kind of our unsung hero. He was a good team guy for us this year. Always had a positive attitude, always kept his teammates engaged in the game every week. Peyton Corrado, T. Sibs, our owner, Untouchable, I just want to say thank you to you for giving us the opportunity to run the Bears for the last 2 seasons. And V. High, my brother, thank you for being my AGM. And NHL Baby Girl, who is now Hockey Girl, that's Kate for us. She was on our team for both seasons. I just want to say thank you. I'm super proud of our team for not giving up. I'm proud to say that in 2 seasons we did not have one person ever give up on us. We did not have one person ever get banned from our team. And I'm just proud as hell of all of you for sticking in there. No forfeits for players not showing up to games. I'm proud as hell of the team, and you guys really gave us everything you had coming down the stretch, and I can't thank you enough for that. So Hershey Bears, we wish you well. And to all of you in your future endeavors in the league, I wish you nothing but the best, and I wish you all luck moving forward. Thanks, guys.
NHL Twister is wondering why he wasn't mentioned.
Oh yeah, man. You know what? Honestly,
I was going to do that.
He was by far our most reliable ECU this year when we did have to use ECUs. Crisis as well. Matrix, we sent them back down so they can go to the playoffs with their CHL teams. But Twister, man, thank you very much for your time this season, buddy. You did a great job for us. Anytime we ever needed an ECU, he was there and ready to play for us, and that was huge, and he helped us pick up some big wins down the stretch.
Absolutely. And I do want to, I know Sibs might blush a little bit, but I do want to mention Sibs. I want to thank him a lot. He had a tough start to this season, and over the last 4 or 5 weeks for the Bears was a big reason why we were in the hunt for the playoffs coming into the final week of the season. I think the last 3 weeks of the season he never had more than 1 regulation loss in each of those weeks. And a lot of that he'll brush off to good defensive play and stuff in front of him, but he stood tall for us. He didn't get down when he was struggling a little bit with the rest of the team, and he had a solid finish to the season. Also, while doing this show with us and kind of hosting, producing, wearing all hats at once, sending me jerseys like the one in the background because he felt like it, I guess, and making sure my mic can work for the podcast. He kind of does it all, man, and I just wanted to thank him on the show as well for doing all that this season. And he was also one of our unsung heroes. Never, ever, ever did he come with a bad attitude. And even though he has us behind the scenes away from the team more than anybody else, he never has anything negative to say about anybody. If he has something to say about how he wants someone to do something, he'll bring it to them. He doesn't come to us behind their back and talk smack about them or anything like that. And if he ever wanted to GM or AGM a team for anybody else or wanted to own a team in the NHL, the CHL, whatever he wants to do, I would highly recommend this man. He does great work, and he is fully dedicated to everything that he does.
Well said. Well said. Thanks, Sibs.
I appreciate it, guys. It was a lot of fun. I mean, first of all, you guys are the ones who got me into the media group to begin with. You suggested me to F5, and
We needed you.
yeah, I mean, it was okay. Mike did apparently, but it's something. Look, I've been in broadcasting for for a long time. Let's just say that, and I've had a lot of fun doing a lot of interesting things. Working with teams and famous broadcasters along the way. But I love doing things that are homegrown, that are back to the roots kind of thing. And this kind of podcast is exactly what it is. It's about this. It's about this league. It's about the AHL. We have Mystic Mac doing one for the CHL, and hopefully, if you guys are up in the NHL, you'll be doing that one hopefully next year. But whatever the case may be, we're getting involved because we love doing this stuff, and you guys got me involved because you just wanted me involved in it, and this wound up being a lot of fun this year. We're going to enjoy doing the playoff stuff, and even in the off season, we're going to keep on going with this because we love playing this game. We love doing these podcasts, and we certainly, first and foremost, love LeagueGaming.com and what they do to make this a lot of fun for everybody. And it's just been a blast, and thank you guys for including me on it this season.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like you included us.
I would like to say thank you to F5 as well. He was the guy who really, got the wheels in motion on this, and Triz and McDonald and, all the staff, that's just been amazing to us. And, we very much look forward to working with everybody further on down the road. So, thank you to all the GMs in the AHL, ones that didn't make the playoffs, hey, there's always next season, and ones that did make the playoffs, we will be talking to you guys as the playoffs go. I just want to wish you guys luck moving forward. We'll be talking to a couple of you on Tuesday, and let's get these things rolling here. Let's get into the playoffs, boys. It's go time.
Yeah, and I would like to second that for F5 and Tris McDonald's and all the guys in administration, Haji, the league commissioner, these guys that put endless hours into this stuff to allow us to do this, and
I can get paid a dime for it.
Right. And
this is all volunteer, guys.
And I can tell you that from where we're sitting, we want to. Sibs, Mike, and I have been talking about trying to find a way to broadcast games and do some commentating and things like that. And F5 has a mile-long sheet on process how to get that done that we're going to try and figure out in the off season. And we're going to try and bring more media to this league, whether it's NHL, AHL, CHL, whatever it is. This is for you guys, and it's to help push the league. This isn't just about coming on here to win a trophy. It's about growing a brand and getting this site off the ground to be the #1 gaming site in the world. And we're glad we're able to help be a part of that. But without the participation of you guys, listeners, GMs, players in the league, The feedback that we get from you and all that kind of stuff is incredible. Keep it coming. And we hope to be doing much, much more. We are going to stick with you through the playoffs, doing 2 shows a week. So this is really fun, and we thank you guys as well for that. So yeah, thank you, and good luck for the playoffs.
And I think that's about it for us on the final week of the season, Week 9 just finishing up, and we are now well on our way, getting ready for the playoffs coming up on July 10th actually now. So obviously it's not this Sunday that it starts, but it's the following Sunday.
8 days.
And yeah, we got some things to talk about coming up in the week, and we'll be on with a playoff preview show, so to speak. And then we'll be on every week during the playoffs on Tuesday night. So hopefully you'll enjoy all of that. Good luck to everybody in the playoffs. Vihai and Miranda Conda, thank you once again for yet another great broadcast. And I'll see you guys probably online in a few minutes.
Yep. Thanks, Sibs. Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
That is it for the broadcast. Again, thanks everyone for listening. We appreciate your time and your comments, and we will see you again real soon.
Yeah, the music's working.